All right, we're here. Welcome, everybody, to our Love in Action group, the last one of this year. And just welcome everyone. Is anyone here for the first time to this group? Oh, hi. Hi, Allison.
Hi.
Do you mind just saying hi, saying where you're from, or just a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm in Sheffield in Yorkshire in the United Kingdom.
Oh, great. Welcome.
Recording in progress.
Right.
Hi, Allison. Nice to meet you. Hi, Rick and Dwight and Jessica and Mika. Jessica, I think it's your first time here too. Hi. So what are we talking about today, Tom?
Well, today we just thought we talk about a subject that I think is pretty common. It's something that I think applies anytime we're in the midst of sharing, including now. And it's really about being ourselves. I don't know about you all. I imagine almost everybody who is shared or has wanted to share has maybe occasionally come up with feeling a little bit of, I don't know if pressure is the right word or something, wanting to do a good job, etc. And really what we want to explore today is really bring it back to the power of being ourselves in these moments. And even as I say that, I feel this little bit of like relaxation. Like what if just being ourselves is actually the most powerful, the most helpful thing that we can actually be when we're with other people. So that's a really simple topic. We know we haven't thought about it much. We wanted to open that up and maybe ask Steph to do one of her little rambles, because I love your rambles so much.
Yeah, I wonder if Stephanie has a ramble on this. When I heard you speak, Tom, the thing that comes to mind is, what does it really mean to be myself? What does it mean to be yourself? How do you know when you're being yourself? And it might be something to just reflect on a little bit, because I think that my experience has been, I have a feeling of what it is when I'm being myself and when I'm not. And what I've noticed about it, I did an exploration maybe a year and a half ago. And part of it was about being unapologetically me. And what I noticed was that when I thought about myself, I felt less myself.
Hmm.
And when I was just being, period, was when it felt like I was most me. And I think that there's a quote that circulates in the Three Principles community, I think, but it goes something like, life is better when there's less of you on your mind, something like that. And I don't remember who said it, but I really like that. And I really see it. It's like the minute I start thinking about me, my experience diminishes. Well, thinking about me in the way that creates tension and stress, comparison. Am I good enough? How am I doing? I should be doing this. Those kinds of thoughts. And the minute I stop that, and I'm really just being full stop, I have a really lovely experience. So when I think about just being me, and I like that you had like a sigh of relief, Tom, when you just thinking that, like, wow, just be me. Just being is like a relief. It's like, oh wow, I can just be. I don't have to try. I don't have to push. I don't have to pretend. I don't have to measure myself against some made up standard. And that, in the context of sharing an insight that's changed your life with someone else? What does that look like? You know, what if we don't even have to think about it? This is something that I've been coming back to because I like this quote that Sydney Banks said in one of his presentations, because it's so easy for me to want to go deeper and understand more, and there's always more to explore, and transformation is so amazing and fun for myself and being in that with others. But the whole point is enjoying life. And the quote that I've heard Sydney Banks say was, if you're listening to this, and this was back in the days when they had cassette tapes. So if you're listening to this cassette, you're listening to this tape, and you have a good feeling, you have a nice feeling, throw it out the window and just go live your life. And that is such a good reminder, because it sometimes can start to feel like there's always something else to be, always somewhere to improve. I can go deeper, I can have another experience. But if I'm in a nice feeling right now, whatever that might be, that's it. I got it. That's the whole point. And I can stop. And what if it's that simple when I show up with somebody else? What if just resting in a nice feeling, I don't have to do or say anything to help this person, to reach this person, to make the world a better place? I probably will. Because I find that when I'm relaxed and just enjoying my life, it's a lot easier for me to, like, things just come through without my trying. It's a lot easier for me to know what is mine to do to make a difference, what words to say. But it's not in the words. That's what I'm reassuring. That's what's kind of occurring to me lately, because it takes all that pressure off. I don't have to get it right. I can just show up and be, period, full stop. And it's such a nice feeling that the whole world gets it in some way because we're connected. And I think that's really a beautiful gift.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things for me recently is I just became um a registered practitioner in the three principles world. Yeah, which is fun. You know, and it's also something that I feel very comfortable in this community, sharing and talking about whatever we talk about. In other words, finding it easy to be myself. But then people who are outside of knowing what the three principles are, and now you've announced yourself to the world as a three principles practitioner, people are like, well, what's that? And there's part of me that kind of hiccups a little bit, like, or kind of dreads that, well, three principles, well, they're sitting, how do you even start talking about it? But what was really interesting for me was there were a few people who I talked to. This was before I was a registered practitioner, where I just said something like, I just found something that really, really helps me. And the person, these are phone conversations on the other end, were like, really? Tell me about, and there was something in that, like, without saying anything, like I'm getting chills now, even as I'm like remembering that, just by saying, I found something that helped me. And you see how the other person responded without saying anything about what it is, how it works. That itself felt very powerful. And so that's kind of an example too, maybe, just being simple, being yourself. To me, that also means trying to talk as much possible without jargon, because there can be some jargon in anything that you're in. There can be, things that you say. So I think we're kind of wondering, what that sounds like to you. And do you all have what is this topic, or what we've shared so long? What does this mean to you? Do you have anything you want to say about it? the topic. So just feel free. You can jump in, you can raise your hand, you can do whatever.
They're just all fluid and flexy today, Tom. You can do whatever you
Yeah.
want.
You can just be yourself today, unlike every other time that we've been here.
Yeah, I am curious. What strikes you about this? If it brings up a question or a thought. Dwight has raised his hand. The digital one. Hi, Dwight.
I just figured out how to do that. I've been wondering how to do that for a long time, so I apologize for the pause there. I do have something to add, so appreciate, Tom, you talking about that, because I was thinking about when I talk about wanting to get clients, it's like I have to be prepared with all of these services that I provide. I do this and I do this, I do this, but as soon as I put that aside and I talk about the things that, like you were saying, something that helped me, something that was exciting to me, that's what gets their attention. And then they want to know more without even talking about what it is. So, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's just, you set aside the sales hat, take the hat off, and you're just yourself saying, hey, I read this article or I watched this video and it talked about this thing that I'm going through right now. It really helped me. And they go, oh, what was that about? And it's like, well, let me send you a link. Or just being myself when I watch your Instagram videos, Tom, about going over your paintings. And it struck me, the title of the painting struck me. So I just sent it to you. I thought, take it or leave it. Whatever.
Right.
I just thought, hey, this is the title of this, what came to me. So, and that's just a lot more fun without trying to push or expect anything. So that's what I have to say about it.
Did you receive that from him, Tom? Did you get the?
Yeah. It was in the last week. He gave me a title for one of my paintings and videos.
And what was that like?
Yeah, I love it because I mean this is goes into like it's no different in any other part of your life. In my painting world or my painting, it's very much about like I'm just being myself doing whatever. But then I love just whatever reactions people have. And there was a time, it was interesting when people would comment on some of my paintings. And for those of you who haven't seen them, if we're not connected on Facebook or Instagram, whatever, they're very, they're just very abstract. They're very just color and shape and whatnot, things like that. And oftentimes people will say like they see something in it, like a figure or something. And for me, it's like, oh, that's great. I was not intending that at all, but you saw something in the painting, and it's like whatever you see is fine with me. And so I love when people, however they respond. So yeah, so when Dwight gave me the title, that was really fun.
And some of that came out of you talking about the painting and how you turned it horizontal to portrait kind of thing, and just immediately it's like, huh. So anyway.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Dwight. What is it like? What does it feel like? And how are you when you're just being yourself? And what is it like to be with others when you're being yourself versus other times? I'm curious about that. What do you notice? I almost feel a breakout. Do you think that would be good, Tom? You're muted. Would you guys like a breakout room?
Yeah, but Rick, did you want to say something, or was that a yes to breakout?
No, I could say something.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. To your question, Stephanie. I find it was interesting that I had this almost a very similar conversation this morning. And like this is a theme day. But when I find I'm not, it's almost paradoxical in the sense when I'm not taking it personal or not being personal, I'm more myself. And in public, there's a tendency or a habit to notice that I need to be something different to get along or to fit in, or that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of pressure in doing that. And I'm not in the moment. I'm in my head, and therefore I'm not enjoying the moment. I'm trying to figure out how I can be in the moment appropriately according to my rules or the rules I think other people are expecting from me, kind of a thing. But I noticed last night when I was watching my adult kids and my grandkids skating. We had an opportunity to go into an empty arena because one of my son-in-law works there, so because it was all shut down, we could take over it, and it was just so fun just to be there and chuckle and laugh constantly. Like that's all I was doing, was laughing at how free they were, and my kids are like 42, and I have there was only 2 of them there out of the 4, and I think the other one's around 38. I kind of lose track after, but anyways, but they were playing hockey and being hockey players, kind of a thing, like, and just scrambling all over the place, and not and they were, and I remember my daughter not wanting to participate because she felt she didn't quite know all the rules. And so I just handed her the stick and I said, go, just go. And she was laughing and having fun. And to me, that's the part about being myself, or is taking the personal thing away from it. Like not trying to be anything other than, like, as soon as it's hard to explain, but as soon as I find myself trying to be something different, that's what moves me away. It's that contaminated thinking that Sid talks about all the time. And the less that's there, everything flows. Time stops. You're just so light. You're just constantly giggling at everything. Yeah. So that's my experience.
That's beautiful, Rick. That really resonates with me too. It's like I sometimes say, anytime I'm thinking about me, I'm full of shit. And I don't mean that in a mean way to myself, but just like reminding myself, like, yep, those thoughts, really shitty. Nope. But when I'm just being here with you right now, it feels really nice. And it's not to say that I don't have an occasional thought about, I don't even know if I'm not even really noticing it mostly, but I'm having thoughts flit through whatever. Who cares? I'm not particularly attached to them. It's like being uncontaminated by personal thinking doesn't mean we don't have personal thinking. It means that just somehow it's moving through and we're not messing with it. It's not sticky. It just does what it does. It's a part of the game. Feels good. Thank you, Rick.
And Rick, what I also love about your story is, isn't that a nice metaphor also for coaching or helping or whatever, when your daughter doesn't know what to do. She kind of wants to get involved, maybe doesn't know what to do. And you're just like, here, take a stick. You have everything you need. Just go. And you're like, my work's done.
And that's how simple it is, isn't it? Just try shit out, see what happens. Thanks, Tom.
I see
see
a Mika
Mika.
hand. Yeah.
Yeah. What you know what was coming to me at some point in the conversation is like we're always ourselves. Like, how can we not be ourselves? That's who we are. You know, like we're always ourselves. But it's, if we have a lot of thinking that starts to create different feelings, whether it's doubt or self-consciousness, you know, or whatever, it's just something that's kind of floating through. But how do we not be ourselves like that? To me, it's just, there's, again, you know, there's things that can come through and color or cloud it. But underneath that, that's just a filter. That's just a facade or a passing cloud. But we are forever at the core of our being ourselves. So sometimes we can just recognize, oh yeah, you know, those kind of thoughts or whatever. That's just
Right.
But it's not me. I didn't change. Because I am a part of that forever eternal energy that is always is. And that's always connected to everything.
You know, Mika, that's a great reminder, because even something as simple as being yourself then can look like an effort. Oh, what do I do to be myself? You know, but you know that
The thing to do.
There's no effort. And it seems to me like, for me, what goes along with that is I'm always being myself. And then I can have a thought that being myself isn't enough. I think that's my particular flavor of maybe having a hard time, is that thought, oh, you're being yourself is not enough. And then if I can recognize that as a thought, then it's like, okay, it's all good. No effort. I'm just having a thought.
Yeah, it's like an expectation that we put on ourselves, but ourselves is always ourselves, right? But it's like what you're saying is like, okay, now, you know, myself should be better. Myself should, you know, do this, or myself should do that. So that's, it's, yeah.
So beautiful, Mika. I really love that. I felt it as you said it. Just, oh, that's right. I'm always being me. That's the default me. And then sometimes I'm thinking about me instead of just being. and then it doesn't feel like I'm being me, but I still am. I haven't lost it. It didn't go anywhere. That's lovely. What else is coming up? What is it like to be with someone else when you're being yourself?
Hey, Allison.
Sorry, I was going to say something, Stephanie, before you asked that question.
Yeah, do please.
So it just it's making me think. So years ago at an HR conference, we did a workshop where I was just a participant, and we put on masks, and it was really interesting because I felt such a sense of liberation. Just little simple paper ones, but it was like, oh, I just like, wow, it was so free. And I didn't have any knowledge of the 3Ps at that time or anything, so I didn't know quite what was going on. But now I look back at that and I can see now that's because of that putting on a sort of mask or armor or sort of facade, and that the physical mask meant I dropped and was able to just be more me in that moment. And it was really interesting in a dance group that I'm in. We did a workshop just a couple of weeks ago with somebody who brought some masks in. And it didn't happen this time. I thought, yeah, of course, it wouldn't, would it? Because I've done more. Well, that means I don't feel the need to try and put on that kind of facade in the same way anymore. And so, yeah, it's just it's I just think it's really interesting to actually experience it in that way. Because you can do it in that physical sense as well as the realizing about the thinking that is what's going on behind the physical part of it, if that makes sense.
That's really cool. And isn't it funny that it was actually putting on a mask that was the opening for you in that instance?
Yeah.
Putting on the mask helped you drop the thinking about what was under it.
Yeah, indeed.
I wonder, like, if you gave yourself permission to really just be yourself, whatever it is that looks like for you right now, what would that be like? I'm speaking this for everyone, for all of us. I wonder if it's different. Maybe it's not any different. Maybe it feels exactly the same. Something really beautiful about giving permission, because it feels like that sometimes can be, like the permission thing is a made up thing, right? Like I haven't given myself permission to be something or do something, and then suddenly I give myself permission and nothing has changed other than what I was thinking about it. But still, it can be really useful to see that. If there's something that feels like it keeps you from being you, whatever that is, what if you gave yourself permission? And then you just see, like, what happens with permission. Because I've noticed sometimes when I give myself permission to do something, even something that I've said I wanted, and then I show up with it and I'm like, oh, I guess I really don't, because I'm not doing it, or I'm not being that. Huh, isn't that funny? But I wanted permission. Pay no attention to the man behind me. I almost went Wizard of Oz with that one. Did you catch it? Like, pay no attention to the man behind the screen.
Behind the curtain.
Yes, thank you. That's actually my true self. This is like the best.
Right.
Wouldn't that be funny? Uh-oh, what happened to Tom?
He's wondering something.
He is. He
Yes.
got really
Yes.
digitized.
Frozen magical spells.
Did one of you
The
have some?
digital insight.
I see some unmuted people. Was one of you wishing to speak? The floor is open while we wait for Tom to undigitize or reanimate. Hmm.
I was thinking about
Well,
adding a little joke, but I figured that was probably inappropriate, so I decided not to.
What? Dwight. And now you have to, because you said, oh, you don't have to actually, but there's a real big opening now because we're all
I
curious.
know, I probably shouldn't have said anything, right? No, I guess what I was going to say is at least he had clothes on. So maybe that's inappropriate. So I apologize.
Oh no, that was completely appropriate.
Spot on.
And these days where people are wandering around during these Zoom calls. Anyway,
Thank you.
nobody noticed a cow that's over my shoulder. Esmeralda
see
is her
that
name,
cow.
by the way. Yeah.
Cool. She's a cutie.
My oldest son gave it to me for Christmas a few years back. So I named her Esmeralda. I grew up on a dairy farm. So
Wow.
anyway, people ask me who's photobombing, who's that photobombing me over my shoulder. So it's my cow.
Esmeralda. Hmm. What else is coming up?
Hey, Dwight,
Yeah,
do I have permission to use you as an example?
absolutely.
Just as metaphorically speaking, because you know what you did, what you demonstrated for me was that simple little contaminated thinking that gets in the way of me doing half the things I want to do.
Mm,
And when I find that when I get out of my way, that thinking, I get a lot more stuff done. Creativity, like
mm,
and spontaneous. I can't speak right now.
mhm,
But it is amazing. Like, like I love to write, but I don't publish because of the extra thinking that goes along of the story and what is not really me, because I'm not my story. But I'll hang on to it for whatever reason, right? And I've learned to recognize it and let it go more often, and then tell the jokes when they come up.
mm.
So it's and it just seems more relaxing because I'm not taking it personally, even if it doesn't land. Oh well. It's
Yeah,
it's just it's just so silly how often I catch myself in that limiting, like trying not to express myself because I think we are expressive. We were born to express. We were born to create.
mm. Yeah. My experience, I've called myself situationally funny. It's like I can't step on a stage and tell jokes, but I can sit like I just did, Well, at least he had clothes on. That's a situationally funny comment, right? But those moments when it doesn't land or it offends someone unintentionally, that's the thing I remember. That's the thing that holds me back from continuing to be situationally funny.
Hmm.
So those are the limiting beliefs that stick versus the 99% of the time that it's fine. So I had my in-laws this last weekend, my wife's folks and siblings and so forth, and that was kind of like that. I don't really know them that well. We haven't been married very long. But I was situationally funny, but until that time when I said something that didn't quite land right and I knew it, it's like, oh crap. I'm the outlaw here, so oh well. But I took it. It was hard because I took it like, oh crap, I shouldn't have said anything. I was trying to relax within this environment of people that I'm not that familiar with and be accepted and want them to like me, those things. And then I just keep thinking, if I wouldn't have just said anything, then I would have been fine. Nobody would have noticed. but I said something offhand, and I could tell that wasn't quite the appropriate thing to do. Like, oops. Those are the things that shut me down. And, you know, next time I'm there, I probably won't say anything. I mean, that's kind of the, I don't know, circle or whatever you kind of get yourself caught into. But I enjoy doing those other things because there isn't any part of me that intends on offending anyone, because I'm just not that kind of a person. So then I find myself holding back or not catching that opportunity when, if you don't say it right now, you might as well not say it, because people won't get it if you say it 10 more minutes from now. They're like, what are you talking about? So.
Well, the really cool thing, Dwight, is that, like, right now, as you're talking about that and feeling like you said something inappropriate, you're like, I probably won't do that again. I probably just won't say anything. But actually, do you know that? Do you know what you're going to say and what you're not going to say before you're there? I mean, you might not. You might be quiet, or you might go for it.
And I do.
Yeah.
I was talking to my wife on the way home about it a little bit. I was quiet for a long time, and she wanted to know what was going on. And I finally admitted to it about 2 hours into our return trip. And she said, well, how is anybody going to actually know who you are if you don't say something? Like, okay, fair point. Because they were starting to ask me about the, you know, things that the books that I'm writing, and, you know, are you making any money at it? Like, well, no, not right now. We're not. I'm not. And then it's like, well, I don't know. It's like you were saying about taking things personally. It's like all the question it's like, well, I screwed up, or I didn't do my research right. I should have known better than publishing these books and expecting money to just flood in the door. You know, that's a stupid thing to think. And of course, the brother-in-law is talking about his wealth and his whatever money, you know, that's easily coming to him. So putting that stuff together just makes it feel like I'm a failure. So why should I even try continuing to do this thing that I love?
Yeah, why should you just enjoy yourself, Dwight, and have fun
I
doing
know,
stuff
it's
you like and
ridiculous.
creating things? Like,
It's ridiculous.
what a waste of time.
I know. So what I
know
figured out
too is
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mika.
oh no, I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I just, what I keep coming back to is the more that I know myself and understand how I'm designed in one way or another, and what calls me, what pulls me forward, what's the thing that I get lost in. The more that I know that, and then when I talk to other people that feel the same way, but it's about things that I'm not in love with, but they feel really enamored with marketing, or getting my books out there to the publisher, to the bookstores, to, whatever that is, publishing kinds of things. They love that. They light up and they just like, oh my gosh. And they're talking. And I'm just like, yes, I need you to come alongside me, and you do your part and I'll do my part, and we'll both be happy. So that's what I'm focused on, is creating this, I don't know, group or community or whatever you want to call it, toolbox of people, or people that are in love with these things, that we have a shared common way of loving what we do. Maybe there's overlap there. Like, I feel like we're all overlap in a way, but we all have our individual things that turn us on to collaborate. And, I don't need to have all the money. I just need to enjoy and be in love with who I am and what I do. And why not let you do the same for you? And then we can both make money and enjoy what we're doing. And, and then I can spend all of my time just creating just producing and just imagining and writing stories and doing whatever I want to do. And I can take that thing then and give it to this person who's then I trust and am in love with, and they are so good at what they do. And then they'll go off and do the next thing that will then make us both money. And I could just keep doing what I'm doing.
Mm.
So that's my goal. That's the thing that I'm less inclined to be who I am, or less inclined to being who I'm not. You know, I don't want to be this marketing person or this person that has to figure out how to get my book into a bookstore. I don't want to be that person because it drains me. It just, all my energy just goes gone. Not that I don't want to understand it. I want to be smart and I want to make decisions around it. That's fine. But to actually do it and produce it and connect people, all the dots together, I don't care, honestly.
You know,
That
Dwight,
makes sense.
there was something in what you said that really jumped out at me. And welcome back, Tom. I'm glad that you survived the windstorm and found your way back to us
So far.
so far. You said, the more you learn about yourself and how you're designed. And I just really liked that phrase because, you know, we have an individual expression of that design, but we have a design in common. We're designed to thrive. We're designed to enjoy our lives. We're designed to naturally be ourselves. And there's this expanded capacity for enjoyment that I'm just going to like tease a little bit, because it seems like I'll speak for myself. There are things that Stephanie likes and that she prefers, right? And she enjoys these things, and this is what I love. But I've found that I have the capacity to be in love with anything, to be in love with or while doing anything. And I have preferences. It's like we are designed for that. And we're also designed to feel our thinking. So that when we feel something, when we think something self-conscious about ourselves, comparison thinking, judgmental thinking about ourselves and others, we feel it, and we're designed for that. That's how it's supposed to work. And we're designed to be able to notice that and to be able to put our attention on things that we want to put our attention on. And all of that is really cool. That we're just, it comes with the package. There's nothing missing. For Tom to be Tom and Mika to be Mika. For them to enjoy, all of us to enjoy our lives exactly the way we want to. And yeah, it fits together like a puzzle. And like Tom and I are here on this webinar for some strange reason. We were drawn to create something together. And each of us brings something. Just by Tom being Tom and me being me. And each of you showing up and being you. All of us creating.
You know, what comes to mind as you're talking is really, it's like freedom. Like just allowing ourselves the freedom to experience. And when we get those little, you know, like you say, our feelings or the thoughts that come through, feelings are, they're prompters. So they allow us to notice, you know. And in that noticing, it's like, am I putting myself in a box? Am I confining myself? Am I judging myself? Whatever. And those are all prompters of like, how do I get back to free? You know, like free is me. You know, how do I get back to that feeling of a light breeze in my spirit, you know, that I'm buoyant, that I don't know, just, yeah, it's, to me, there's a lot of happiness there, you know, in that space of, and also like just even noticing, like, even if we do something and we feel like I remember being in a session with someone, and this was kind of early on, and I realized at some point that I was judging the circumstances. Like I had judgment that was going on inside. And he lived out of state, and he and his wife came and they visited, and this was like a year later. And just like I had this thing, I just went to him and I'm just like, you know what? I had some judgment when we were talking. Like, if you want to do it again for free, let's just do it. Like, I want to give you that, because I could come to it and just owning that. Like, and he's laughed and he goes, "Oh, you didn't have nearly as much judgment as my therapist," you know. But I was like, okay, well, that's nice, but still, like, I just want to give this to you. If you want it, you don't have to take it, but it's just an offer. And there was so much freedom in that. Like, there was so much just being able to be real, be authentic, and not even have a lot of judgment about it one way or the other. This just happened. And here's what I can do. So I realized through that experience, like, how good that felt to just be in that space of just being me, being real. So anyway, back to the thing of freedom. That, you know, like, whatever anybody else thinks or whatever we did, like, okay, it happened. Next.
Yeah.
How can I get back to free?
Well, Mika, it occurred to me that you could put that on your website or your business card. Guaranteed less judgment than your therapist.
What a tagline. I love it. You know, something happens for me repeatedly, where something about permission to be the thing I'm afraid to be. So a few years back, I was doing a thought experiment with a group of people in which we were invited to give ourselves permission to be something. Permission from ourselves, from God, from our parents, the high school principal, like whatever we thought we needed permission from, right? And I sat with it for a while, and I was in a group with other people talking about this, and I said, oh, and I give myself permission to be an asshole. And some of the people were like, oh yeah. And one of the guys was like, what? Like, why would you want to be an asshole? And I said, no, I don't want to be an asshole. I want to have permission to be an asshole, so I never, ever have to worry about offending anyone ever again, because I'm allowed to be an asshole. And it was so freeing to just see that for a moment, that without my holding myself back, I could just be. And then if I'm an asshole, apologize and say, I'm sorry, I was an asshole. Please forgive me. But I was no longer limiting the expression or experience of myself. And I've seen this repeatedly. Like, I keep seeing it. Like, oh yeah, it's okay. Like, and how beautiful to be human enough to go, you know, I had some judgment going on, and I really don't like that. I don't want to come from that. You know, would you connect with me again? That's so beautiful, Miko. It's like, it's real. And people respond to that. I don't, like, my clients respond to that. Yeah. And I want that from them. I don't want them pleasing me. Oh, that's the worst thing. Why are you guys showing up and just being nice and saying, oh, Stephanie, you're wonderful. You know, please, Ah.
You know what, Stephanie, is what comes to me is it's like that's our humanity.
Yes.
Like that's when we really let our humanity shine. It's when we can just own it all and without judgment and just be with it. Like it is freeing. And it's also embracing all that we are, not just who we think we should be.
And the minute we see it, like what you said, Mika, that's not me. That's my thought. That's my judgment thinking. That's judgment thinking move. That's not me. Oh,
Yeah.
Free again. Now you're free.
I have this little sign on my. I heard it a number of years ago, but how good are you willing to have it?
Mm.
How good is this moment that we're in?
I'm not judging it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm asking the question like of it feels like it has a never-ending capacity for that beautiful feeling in it.
Oh yeah, I want to order another cup of coffee with you guys. It's like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that question, right, Rick, is also like how long do we have to wait for that goodness? Because there's also the thing like how, like for me, how am I able to see the good that's already here? That's way more than I'm noticing. I'm sure. I mean, there's so much more goodness going on that I feel like I'm always getting continually getting distracted from those, like those not enough feelings, or I came in on the tail end of what Dwight was sharing, but I resonated with something about that, about, you know, the work's one thing, or what we do, we create that we love is one thing, but then now there's the so-called business aspect to it that really feels yucky or something sometimes can feel that way. And can we take the same approach, if that's the right word, that we've been talking about, which is, okay, you can be yourself there too, or you can be free there, or you can do it that the way that you like doing it. So and that has come up a lot for me in my art journey, where when I do share, when I do sometimes sell things, it feels like a natural extension of the freedom of the painting. It's so natural. And I don't sell very many paintings, but I don't really care. I really don't care, but it could, you know, I could. We'll see. Um, so yeah. So I think we just have like about 5 minutes left. So I missed part of it. Is there anyone who maybe wants to share something, or has everyone had a chance to say something? Who wants to say something in the time we have remaining?
Mm.
What's really struck me is the difference between connecting with people to just connect with them and be with them, and doing it with an intention such as to be liked by them, which, like, you know, is so natural, isn't it? As a sort of tribal species, we evolved to not want to be thrown out of the tribe, you know, so it makes so much sense that would be our natural thing to do. But it's like it's sort of like a version of that Rumi quote, you know, out beyond right and wrong, there's a field. I mean, there's out beyond being liked, there's a field of no really deep connection, and that's where we can meet people really fully.
Mm.
I was just thinking about a movie with Daryl Hannah a really long time ago. If you don't know who that actress name is, but she did a movie called The Clan of the Cave Bear. When you were talking, Allison, I reminded me of that movie, and most of it's not English. It's just grunting and cave bear or caveman kind of speaking. I don't know if anybody's seen that movie, but it stuck with me just because the kind of the change of humans between Neanderthals and whatever we are now, how the bone structures and how we looked changed. Well, she was the beginning of what we look like now, and how she was just this weird, outsider kind of person that was trying to fit into this clan and do all the things that they were needing her to do. You ever get a chance to watch that? It's kind of graphic, but it's very interesting to see the dynamics, the social dynamics between what they thought was normal. Like they didn't understand the passage of time or mathematics or any of those things, where she was starting to understand that because of the way her brain was being developed. It's a fascinating watch if you ever get a chance. It's very, very old. I think I watched it last time on Amazon Prime or something. You had to pay for it, but Clan of the Cave Bear. So check it out if you ever get a chance. So it's kind of an interesting experiment, I guess, on social behavior way back when. I think it was a book originally, but it's an interesting watch.
I do remember that specifically because I watched it quite young, Dwight, and I was very intrigued by some of the graphic nature there.
Right. Yeah, the graphic nature of things.
Yes.
What she was expected to do as a female and whatever. But it's interesting how it ended, and I don't know. It's been probably 2 or 3 decades since I've seen it. It's like I ran across it again recently. I went, "Oh my gosh, I gotta watch this!" And my wife was like, "What the hell is this?" I said, "No, you have to watch. This is really good." No, I'm not watching this.
Yeah, it's
okay.
We have this feeling that I think this is somehow, as much as it seems to be a pretty normal experience for us as humans to want to be liked and belong to a group, right? And there are all kinds of good reasons for that. We also have this feeling, pretty much everyone I've ever spoken to, of not belonging and being an outsider and not fitting in some way. And that's what drives it, right? So without that thinking, without my thinking about either needing to be liked or not belonging, without any of that personal thinking at all, what happens when I show up with people just as me? It's kind of like there's a deeper connection that's possible, and it's effortless. There's a sense of connectedness being within. And then if somebody doesn't like it, so what? It's okay. But it seems to go pretty well most of the time from that space. It really does. That's cool. Oh, Tom, you're muted.
And that effortlessness is, to me, a good sign, or that feeling, is a good sign of knowing I'm in a nice place, because it feels effortless. So yeah.
All right, my lovelies. I think we're done for today. Thank you for joining me, taking this time out from the holidays. And Tom and I will be back on First Monday Magic, whatever we're calling them, free First Mondays. Next Monday. And have a very, very happy New Year.
Wow.
You too.
So great to see everyone. Thank you so much.
Good to see you all.
Take care.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye.
Bye.